Okay.
If you have an open seat beside you, maybe raise your hand and people can sit down. So I want to welcome everybody again to the State of the Story, SOTS. You can find us on Facebook. It's a very friendly group. And I guess we go by the moth storytelling theme. Okay, so this is the November edition, and every month we have one or two people that are called ringleaders. And this month's ringleader is Ken Lipson and myself. I'm Min Tien. And our theme is irony, or isn't it ironic, which is Ken's idea. All right? Anyway, we have a lineup of 7 people. All right. I think 3 of them are first-time storytellers. So if it's your first time here, you like what you see, you think maybe you want to be part of it, you may want to think about telling a story. There's anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes long. But our lineup today is Katie DeFury, I'm sorry, Don Bacon, Helen Dempsey, and Jenny Wozdak. And that's the first 4 in the first section. Then we'll have intermission. Then we'll have Jody Whipple. Then we'll have Corey Lipson, and then Ken. And last but least is me. I'll tell 3 little short stories, and I'll mix them in with the other stories. But the other thing I did today was I asked these storytellers, before they tell their short story, to tell a little shorter story, to tell us something about themselves that people may not know, they're either proud of or embarrassed of. So I have no idea what the shorter stories will be. But in any case, why don't we kick it off? Did I forget anything? I don't think so. We'll kick it off with Katie, all right? Are you okay with that? Need some help?
Yeah, that's good. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's on. No, it's not on? No. Do you have a mic person?
Not my job description. Okay, all right. So maybe,
Oh, how's that right there? It's more like,
Yeah, I was gonna.
ready? Hold on.
no, it's not.
Does it have to be plugged in?
Let me get somebody from downstairs.
Should I start? Yeah.
Tell us your short story. Your short story.
Oh, there's one. There it is. Okay. Cool. Guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. Cool. So my short story is that I can play ukulele, which is kind of fun. I picked it up over the summer. One of my housemates, he actually made this ukulele. He carved the wood and everything, and he never played it ever. And it was just lying around the house, and I was like, this is super cool. So I started picking it up and got kind of good at it. So just to prove to you that I can play. Let's pretend that is Joy. So I guess I'll start with my story now. So I didn't realize that I had trust issues until exactly 2 months ago. Before I get into where I was 2 months ago, I'll first have to give some background information. So right now I live at this house called the Co-Space. It's a house of 20 people in downtown State College, and it has 16 students and 4 young professionals, 2 of whom are house managers. And they sort of act as RAs for the house. And the house is like an intentional living community. We call it the home for change makers, but we kind of joke about that being like a pretentious term, oh, change makers. But I like to think of it as more so a group of people who don't want to live life passively. They want to take an active part in their life and really be intentional about their journey. So that's where I lived, and every semester we go on a retreat. And at the beginning of this semester, we went to campgrounds in the Poconos. And the whole purpose of this retreat is to basically learn about yourself and also get to know the other people, because you just moved into this house with like 19 strangers, so you're like, who are these people, why am I here? You know, the retreat's sort of like a way to get to know everybody. And so it's filled with team building exercises and self-reflection type of things, and they're led by the two co-founders and co-owners of the house, who are named Spud and Christian. Right, so that's the background. So we're on this retreat, and one of the activities that we had to do is we all had to stand in a line, right? We're shoulder to shoulder, and the line is symbolic of a spectrum. So on one of the line are people who strongly agree with the statement that was just said, and on the other end of the line are people who strongly disagree with the statement that was just said. And Spud's reading off these statements, and we're all just sort of shuffling around, you know. I end up in the middle for most of them, until we get to the last statement. And the last statement was, I tend to trust other people. So I step out, I start walking, I keep walking, keep going, until I get to right about here, and I plant my feet, and I look to my left, and I see 19 other people. I look to my right, and there's absolutely nobody. And I'm like, oh, how did that happen? And everyone else in the line is sort of doing, you know, one of these things, like, who's the least trusting? And I'm sort of doing the same thing, like, hi guys. Great way to start off, you know, all these 19 friendships by telling everyone that I don't trust them. So yeah, and I was sort of surprised myself. Like, everyone's like, oh, it's Katie, that's interesting, you know, I didn't really expect that. And I'm sort of standing there like, yeah, I didn't really expect this either. But I stood there and I was like, yeah, this is right, but why is this right? And I'm thinking about this, and then Spud says that the next part of this activity is that the most trusting person has to pair up with the least trusting person. And then, like, everyone was paired off from the ends into the middle, so like there was a more trusting person paired with the least trusting person. And so I get paired up with this guy on the end. His name's Smith. Him and I are good friends now, but back then we didn't really know each other. And he labeled himself as the most trusting, so he's like a super happy, chippy guy who is trusting people. And I'm like, that's cool, that's a cool way to live. And then Spud says the next part of this activity is that the person who's the most trusting in this pair has to lead the least trusting person to the next activity, and the least trusting person has to have their eyes closed. And I'm like starting to freak out, and I'm like, oh no, my hands are sweating, my eyes are like, oh my god, I don't know what's happening. And Smith's walking towards me, he's like, oh my god, this girl, what is she thinking right now? She's not going to be able to handle this. But it shouldn't have been a problem, because it was like, I don't know, a half a mile walk, it's daylight outside, like it's literally like a straight path to the next place. But I was visibly freaking out. And so Smith came over, and he was really nice about it. Like, everyone else just sort of used their voice to lead the other person. He held my hand, which was really nice, because he saw that I was like having a panic attack. And I got there, and then it was all good, and then Spud came up to me, and he was like, how did that go for you? And I said, it was pretty bad, but like it could have been a lot worse. You know, it went better than I thought. It wasn't as bad as what I had to do in 6th grade. And then he's like, what do you have to do in 6th grade? And I said, well, in 6th grade, we went to this camp called Camp Kenbrook, and it was like a long week-long trip there, and they had us do this activity where we all had to stand in a line holding this rope with the teacher in the front, and we're all blindfolded, and he's leading us off into the wilderness at like midnight. And yeah, 6th grade, right? That seems a little extreme. So this is how, while I'm telling the story to Spud, I can see his face go from to like he knew something that I didn't know, that something worse was about to happen, but I'm like, okay, this is in my head. It's gonna be fine. And so like a few hours go by, and then what do you know, it's midnight. And then Spud pulls out this box. And he's like, all right, everyone grab a blindfold. And I'm just like, excuse me? And Spud looks at me like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for what's about to happen. He's like, all right, everyone get in the line and put on your blindfold and put your hand on the shoulder in front of you. We're going to go for a midnight walk in the woods. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? And then so Spud takes me aside, and he takes me aside, and he's just like, you know, you don't have to do this. Like, I know this is going to be really hard for you. And I say, Spud, if I don't do this, that means I haven't made any progress since the 6th grade. It's really depressing. And he's like, okay, I understand. But why don't you go right behind me so that, you know, it's safer. And I'm like, no, that's not really helpful, but okay. So I go right behind him, and it was kind of helpful because he put his hand on top of mine so they could make sure I never lost him. And again, like the first activity that day, like my heart's pounding, my hands are all clammy, and I'm like, this is the worst ever. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, I need to not think about what happened in 6th grade. I need to think about something else. I need to not freak myself out while we're doing this walk. What should I think about? Okay, let's think about the origin of your trust issues. That seems like a safe topic. So we start this walk.